Welcome back to Interview Ninja Step 35, in which we're going to drill down yet deeper to explore motivation and drive and things like ambition in Corben, yourself and others. Also, how social intelligence can be developed to better know what kind of work will you enjoy and where to look for it, and understand why other people do the kind of work they do, sometimes for many, many years. And it...
Take me up it.
Okay.
Now, you've mentioned one or two, but I want you to articulate them.
Okay.
So they've made studio time available to you as a resource.
Yes. They have made
By the way, the studio time comes, it's a studio where there are skilled technicians available to help set up mics and stuff.
yes.
And so when you get the studio time, you get the skilled operator doing it.
Yes.
Okay.
They have paid for or have offered to pay for photographers
Oh, interesting.
for photo shoots.
Okay.
If we wanted to make little booklet things like John Mayerman.
Okay.
What else have they done? They have
So, by the way, for the camera, we're moving from not just sound but visuals. Okay.
yes.
But when you go into the studio, is there someone not just to set the microphones up, but is there someone who can add value as a kind of producing your music, like however music is produced? Is there a skilled producer available to you, or do you have that skill yourself?
I like to do that. I'm sure the guy that mixes and sets all the stuff up, the technician man, would be happy to input on that front if I asked him to.
Okay.
He started to last time,
Okay.
and I was like, I collaborated a little bit,
Good.
but that's the part that is important to me. It's important to how it sounds in the end.
So you're interested in music production as well.
Yes, very
So
much.
you compose,
I
you
compose,
perform,
I perform.
and the way it eventually goes down into whatever the recording medium is important to you.
What do you mean?
Well, is it cut onto a tape, or does it produce something, or is it an MP3 file?
So
what comes out?
A producer doesn't just decide whether it's put onto tape or CD or whatever.
Yeah.
A producer will pick up a guitar and say, right there, you need to go like this. Or he'll sing something and say, in that little space, you should have someone singing this.
Oh.
So it's a creative input the producer has.
Perfect words.
So I don't mind I'd like to have other people's creative inputs around me, but when I go to these studios, I've got my songs ready, I've got all the parts ready.
So there's a difference between a technician and a producer. In the producer sounds to me that they actually influence
the music.
Yes.
The technician is trained
the tempo and the pace and the
yeah. I mean, big things like that, tempo and like key and things. That's set in stone, really. If I say it is, but little bits that aren't so fundamental to the song, they often input in. Technicians are strictly told have no creative input.
Okay.
Put the microphones in, and then.
So is that the difference, perhaps, between a producer and a technician?
Often producers have been technicians for 40 so years and then end up being producers. That's the chain.
40?
Yeah, that's how long the man that I was talking to studios had to be a technician before he was allowed to have a creative input and be a producer.
Well, but given the acceleration of the modern world, do you think there's a barrier to entry to becoming a producer of having to have done like X number of years or decades as a technician? Is that a barrier to entry to being a producer?
Not necessarily. I think it's a bluebird thing.
Are there barriers to entry for a particular kind of job? For example, you must have a special degree or certificate to even start a job, like being a doctor or a lawyer. It's important to differentiate between things that are essential, and these are called showstoppers, and things that could just make it easier. Having the right soft skills can enable you to avoid unnecessary showstoppers and barriers and find a way in. For example, to become a doctor or a lawyer in the UK, it might be possible to get a qualification in some other country.
It took him that amount of time until he found a band that he was working on that wanted his input.
Okay.
And then once he did that, he said, look, I've done this to someone else. And then they were like, oh, come and do that for us.
Right.
And then it set the ball rolling almost. But it had taken him a long time before someone wanted to have his creative input on their music.
Just going into the emotional side of this.
Doing the same job for many years can be a great way to live if it satisfies both your wants and your needs. I'm trying to raise Corben's and your own awareness of the importance of how you feel about doing a job. Work should make you happy, as well as being a practical way to have money. Practical skills and soft skills will empower you more so you can choose more what you do.
And I know you're a kind person, but what's your view of someone that is prepared to spend 30 or 40 years as a technician?
I think that...
Was that enough for him, do you think? Or do you think for 30 or 40 years he was a wannabe producer? Or was he just happy to, just like someone else would drive a bus? Or...
I think that when you go into something like that and you want to work in music, if speaking from my own experiences, it's a strong want for me to be in music. It almost feels like a need.
Okay.
I'm going to explore Corben's motivation, level of ambition, and probability of achieving satisfaction.
And you want to work in music. If speaking from my own experiences, it's a strong want for me to be in music. It almost feels like a need.
Okay.
If he felt like that kind of involvement being a technician would have still been an exciting one. He would have been helping other people on their music. He would have been surrounded by creative people, although he may not have been allowed to be one in the workplace himself. Doesn't mean outside of his working hours that he wouldn't have access to all of this amazing equipment, and then he could record his own music maybe. I think he might have done that, but it wasn't.
But you don't know?
I can see an opportunity here to develop Corben's social intelligence, one of the 4 types of intelligence. To do this, he needs to start seeing the world through the eyes and mind of other people. What makes them tick? Developing social intelligence is the basis of all good people management.
I know some of them did. I don't know if this specific one did.
Do you think there's an opportunity there to talk to other people that you meet?
Well, I spoke to a younger one who's a couple of years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
who's just finished some of the courses I was looking at.
What do you mean courses?
For university things, sound engineering courses.
Okay.
And he says that he thinks he's about to embark on that.
On what?
Decade-long process. He's already been there for 4 years, or 3
Working
years,
in this studio.
working in the studio, and he says he's already quite tired of not being allowed to have an input. I feel like anyone that I think it might be easy to not know that that's what you're going to get, that long of no creative input. So I don't look at him and think, because you could think someone that settles for 40 years worth of being a backman until you get to finally do the thing that you want to do is someone that's going to settle for a pretty mediocre, easygoing, no surprises lifestyle. If you're going to be doing the same kind of.
Well, let's compare that person with this other person that you mentioned, who's done some sort of courses and now thinks he might be faced with having, as I understand, having to do another 4 years or whatever, as not being the producer but being the technician.
Well, I think.
Is that what you were saying? Did I understand you correctly?
Yes, that is what he's about to commence on. But what I'm saying is, I don't know if he knew how long a road it was. And I'm not sure if they probably did.
How do you think he was feeling about
The
that?
IPL courses on Get the Job You Want and Interview Ninja are about the world of work. I want to raise Corben's awareness of how easy it is to spend years and years in a particular job and not think about, is this what I really want? Sometimes there are barriers to entry to making a change, but also there are barriers to progress, some of which you create yourself. If you go into debt or get involved in some other activity that restricts your options, they are barriers. Often, the work-life balance can slowly restrict your options. There are things, progressive things as you grow older, that you just have to do. Corben is at a stage when he can prepare himself by building the skills and personal power he is going to need to handle the practicalities of having a happy life.
I think he was feeling pretty penned up, it's not like contained in some of the.
Pregnant with creativity.
Yes.
And needing to give birth.
Well, yeah, I don't know if he quite had that drive, but I felt like that for him. I felt like he may have felt it. He said he was getting bored.
Okay.
But
do you see a possible opportunity there if you were to enable that person who's got quite good skills and wants to be creative to be creative? Or are you too busy being creative yourself to think about him?
Through my own means. What I'd offer to that guy, if that were to be a bluebird, I'd be like, hey, you look like a guy who's got some creative ideas but isn't allowed to express them.
Yeah.
I can help you express them, but all that I could help him do, I could take him to my recording studio in my bedroom and say, now you can play it, and I'll look after you the other way around. But he has to whatever he can access one of the best recording studios around to do that himself.
So why is he blocked?
So that's the thing. I don't think he's not blocked. He's not blocked from doing that.
Doing what?
From having a creative output. He can do that in his free time if he wants to.
Right.
But he finds himself working a lot of the time on other people's creative stuff. So I could say, come and be creative with me, but he could say to me, I can just do that myself here in a studio that's worth $1,000
So are we
more.
talking now about the next link in the value chain, which is, we've just described a situation where in one particular environment, there's a studio, there's technicians, and there's people working in there who would love to be doing something more, but for some reason they can't.
Yes.
They don't have the resources, or
they just haven't had their bluebird yet. The opportunity.
Yeah, but the bluebird is someone coming along who has got the resources to say.
But that's what I'm saying. So no one's walked past him yet and said, "Come and do this for me."
Okay, so let's.
When Corben talks about bluebirds, he's talking about opportunities. The key aspects of this discussion about people is to identify why they do what they do and how do they feel about it. Are they content? Is their progress blocked? And if so, what by? Are they waiting to get lucky, or are they being proactive about making a positive step towards their purpose? There's an expression, you can make your own luck. Do they have the necessary drive? Or are they happy just to dream, which is a very, very natural behaviour? And good leadership can help people achieve their dreams. And all of us can be leaders, even if it's just leading one or two people, or leading a band, or leading an organisation. Leadership is a great pleasure, if it's in your nature to do it. So party on.